KM Office, day 3, September 2021. We'll make our movement, keep it moving, I would say. Quite simple, quite clear. At those. And then we will try to have in mind what we did until this time. And for sure, the idea is kind of quite simple. We had some efforts made, and those efforts in general will point to something like this. So, when you are unable to have the solution, kind of pressing a button, you cut the energy like this. Simple to understand. It means that when we could check this, and indeed we had this, the distribution of the transnational organized crime on present time, interval 2012-2021, Brazil, public budget, we will have on mind something like this. This transference as energy indeed has a button, and we are unable to have this button kind of as offset, you know, because people got addicted at this kind of transference, which is a transfer without control. And then you had a confusion on your mind, which consider that instruments for control indeed are to have this kind of transference without the control. I mean, you are denying the premise of the regular instrument, and this happens with all things, you know. And of course, that in a very specific moment, you will consider that press the button to shut down the television or cut the energy, you know, when you pull when you push the cable that connect the TV at the energy source, is the same thing. Indeed, it's not the same thing, despite we had the same result as per the television down with no image, no sound, nothing. So we will have in mind this kind of thing, which these concepts that we have here, indeed they are different, you know. But when we have this as the result of this workflow, they will be presented kind of the same thing as result, but the composition as procedure to have this result is completely different. It means that the public budget in Brazil is like any other budget all around. And the transference of stimulus or financial energy, which is the arguments that you put inside your budget, in general, kind of, they are separated. And we do not allow the Brazil have this budget registered as a matrix, which is a swap. You can have this, but sometimes you have this confusion on your mind, and you do this with all things. It means that you do not consider the difference as debt and credit, which indeed are to both the financial result at your financial statement, but in different moments. Because when you had the debt for you, indeed this will be a credit for anyone else. And when this debt that is something is covered, will be a debt for anyone else. It means to buy something you must spend some effort. And when you spend this effort, you receive something. And this, in the end, will result in something kind of zero, I would say. It means that you had the effort to do something and you achieve or conquering something by the effort made by you. You know? And of course that this idea that now you are maybe having the different again will represent something quite curious, which is the supply and the demand. And the supply and the demand indeed will be presented in the same way as macroeconomic argument, as something that can be at your investment saving curve, at your liquidity money curve, and we have an identity here. The demand can be investment saving curve, liquidity money curve. We have an identity here, the economical and the financial architecture as transference goes flawless, and all this by a single instrument named budget. When you fuck the budget up because you have a big mess on your mind by a lot of things and nonsense actions that you have, stimulus that you got, you put this entire and beautiful structure here, which is the international financial system, with a very peculiar dynamo, which is, it's not the animal, but the dynamo, the relation between the debt and the credit. The first thing that you have on mind, it means that if you have 50 bucks on your pocket, you will give and have the outcome as 50 bucks to receive something as 50 bucks value. But we have another problem, which is the pricing scam, and then your 50 bucks won't be able to pay this, and then you will try to hide this, saying that this crap is inflation. It's not inflation. It's your dishonest behavior in all things, with your mind completely messed, and you fuck the entire thing up, and then a very specific moment, you will put your big head as something confusion, the actions inside the organized crime and inside the public area and inside the cooperative area not related with the organized crime and all things, because you got crazy, And all this we can have by the big mess made at the Brazilian public budget 2012, 2021, considering all players on it, in the entire global system, that is unable to have an excuse on present time, and would like to have this image as instability, which is an illusion. We can't accept this by the concurrent failure inside a P2P scam with least gains and least storage. All guilty. Positive one, the field that you are acting. Negative one, the intention as finalism that you presented. All of you. Then, we have this clear, and it's a fact. No one can change this now. The organized crime, transnational, is inside the public budget. Brazil, 2012, 2021. By the events, we can track other areas. We can have the same registry that we have on public budget Brazil, full of fraud, full of misperception about all things with the organized crime. Because the public corruption indeed is impacting the organized crime and put the classical and regular criminals down. They kind of will be begging things on the street and they will do with a gun in your face and will pull the trigger because they will have you as the causalis that put him at that situation, and they will do this for sure. So we will observe that here we have the triple institution that indeed are having the use as budget. You know, all them had failures. And those failures indeed are evaluated as corruption. That I will say as -1 bubble. Here I have my criminal environment. It's full of failure. They are not flawless. They do a lot of things, kind of in the way they do. So, and they will be divided as small criminals, as criminals and big criminals. And this problem indeed is inside by the association with the budget, which is a instrument for transparency and control that transparency. And you will have this crap here as a small bubble at my local crime is a big bubble, medium bubble inside my medium argument as criminal organization, and in the last one the entire transnational organized crime. Then you consider a great thing have this as a global movement, a systemic thing. It's a systemic thing. You have this corruption argument inside, and to avoid this mistake, it suggests that transnational organized crime, which indeed is inside the public budget Brazil 2012-2021, present by goodwill, by free will, all information that the law enforcement need, since this group that I do not belong, for sure, I'm independent, that this group do not got very strictly punishment against them at this interval, since the information allowed to have serious consequence against the offender, especially the offender -1 inside the environment +1. If you are a variable 00 -1, indeed you are an informer or a criminal that made an agreement. At this case, at this interval, it suggests that you have a forgive, pardon, or something like this. It's almost Christmas, so we'll try to have this like this, and we will not have the argument as something with this bubble, and we will not have the transnational organized crime as a system or conjunct of crime for crime or criminality. We will have only the regular thing as a failure behavior with some kind of inspiration to do the right fail at the right time. And this is the idea of theory that you had in Japan, just in time, which had built the Japan, and the Japan needs some help today, and we're helping this by this entire model presenting the international financial system in the way things are on present time. Reviewing, we will have the difference of all things by the difference of the very primary things, which is the transnational organized crime isn't a global system to commit crimes. but only to have the right favor at the right time. And of course that they will pay this consequence if they got qualified as a criminal. Because if you are a crime member, you can't be qualified as a criminal. If you got qualified as a criminal, you are not a crime member, you are a criminal. Different things. I do not belong to neither of both. I'm independent. I'm just an academic research on the serious menaces and threats I'm the victim, you know. And my research indeed allowed me to have this kind of research to track it down, and offer maybe this suggestion to the international law enforcement that have perhaps the expectation as 33 trillion with conditional flow 1% of first trillion that they can have with them as a donation, since for instance they do not have any kind of money or something in area as investment or whatever in areas like closed areas that corrupted the entire global system. It's something that I can put but as a clause to have this donation or to transfer this entire 33 trillion. There will be no prosperity for everybody, because it's something that you must deserve. And to deserve, you must have clear on your mind who you are. We are saying this all the time. The quantum research helps to understand who we are dealing with. Now, we will have this again and one more time, and again and again. Have a nice